Ryan Pellum is your new Trojan Lion King. Cue the music.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free, and I really do appreciate your support. You can show me your appreciation, and it would mean a whole lot to the show. Hit that red subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. And because I come at you 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, hit the bell notification, and that way you will not miss a single episode. How cool is that? Every year, recruiting comes and goes. And each year, the whole putting the hat on the table, that whole show, there's a new twist. Comes out every single time. I'm never amazed. And this one happened to happen at my old stomping grounds, the school where American Pie was filmed. True story. If you've seen the movie, if you haven't, you need to. One of the greatest movies ever made. Hysterical. Anyway, as I've been predicting, super elite wide receiver, Ryan Pellum from Millikan High School in Long Beach. He didn't pick up the USC or the Oregon hat that was on the table for his public commitment announcement Monday afternoon. Instead, this was awesome. He lifted up his infant son, and if you've seen the movie The Lion King, you'll know what I'm talking about. Showed everyone where he was going. His new infant son was wearing a little white jumper. He had a little victory salute right in the middle, and the words "Fight on." And everyone knew where Ryan Pellum was going to go to school, and there it was, the victory salute, "Fight on." And instead of that iconic Circle of Life music playing in the background from the movie The Lion King, instead you got USC's fight song doing the coronation of the ceremony. Really cool. It wasn't quite as dramatic as I'm making it out to be, but that was the first thought that crossed my mind as I was watching the commitment ceremony. The next thought that crossed my mind was USC had just started their week off with a bang. It was a huge kaboom. Ryan is the first of what could be a really huge week for USC recruiting, at least as far as commitments are concerned. And the recruits, if you pay attention to social media, the committed recruits have been warning Trojan fans. Dakota Fields, Marcellus Williams. It's going to be a good week. So they've got Trojan fans already sitting on the edge of their seat. They're pretty stoked. So Ryan is going to be the first, I'm going to say right now, he's going to be the first wide receiver this week. Just the first. Draylon Miller out of Texas. He's set to make his announcement on Thursday, the 29th. So you're going to want to be hanging out at Locked On USC all week long because something's going to be going on. But let's get back to Ryan. This is his day. What are you getting? Well, you're getting a silky smooth route runner. But he's also got a lot of quick twitch to his body, something that makes guys miss in the open field. He has really soft hands, and he's got that extra gear. He can run by anyone. This is why he's so highly ranked. Top 100 receiver. Not just receiver, top 100 player in the country. There's lots of guys that you can compare him to. I like to compare him to what I think is a faster version of Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got that fight in him. You can line him up in the backfield, and he'll be able to get to the edge and turn it upfield before the defender can put a hand on him. This is what Romeo Pellum, his brother, said. quote, he's a dog. They're going to get somebody who's going to do everything right. It's pretty high praise. Granted, it's coming from his brother, but just to give, in case everybody isn't aware, Romeo Pellum, that's his older brother, and it's also his head coach. So, he's going to give an honest assessment, not just of his player, because it represents him and his program as well. I need to remind my everyday viewers and listeners that USC wasn't even in Ryan's top 10 list when it was released. I think that was back in December, maybe earlier than that. But things have changed over time. And his older brother, Romeo, as well as who is his head coach, both of them saw what was going on at USC. So by the time Ryan was ready to choose, the choice was easy. So even though, and these aren't my words, the whole Pellum family was raised as a Oregon Duck family. Their uncle, Don, he's coached at Oregon for 27, 28 years. I believe he even has a face up on one of the walls over there. His brother, like I said, Romeo, he played his collegiate ball at Wazoo, Washington State. But you need to head on over to wearesc.com when you're done making Locked On USC your first listen. Scott Schrader has the entire interview, and it's awesome, amazing. But this one quote really stuck out. And this is going to catch the attention of the Oregon family and its fans, because it caught my attention. So I know it put a smile on my face. It's probably going to have the opposite effect. This is what Romeo Pellum said. USC should be the choice for all elite talent on the West Coast. If you're a local kid and you're not looking at USC, then something's wrong. In my opinion, USC is the best school on the West Coast and one of the best schools in the country, end quote. There's a lot more. Romeo adds a lot more. So like I said, when you're done with this episode, head on over, become a subscriber if you're not already. It's well worth the price. I've had an opportunity to talk with Ryan on a couple times. I've watched him play in person. This young man is a very serious, focused dude. Romeo said USC is getting a guy that does everything right. So he's staying close to home. He's focused on getting a great education and getting developed for the NFL. There's no reason to go anywhere else. So you can tell when someone has the tools for success. Ryan is one of those guys. I was able to make that connection in my limited opportunities, but like I said, you can tell. So you're not gonna, if you're looking for a big social media presence from Ryan, or someone who's looking for a whole bunch of NIL hoopla, he's not the guy for that. You're just gonna look for a guy who wants to help USC win a national championship and continue that wide receiver U mantra. That's what you're going to get with Ryan. Everything else will fall into place. Again, you're getting a really dynamic superstar player on the field. Off the field, you're getting just a high character guy who knows what he wants, is focused. It's the type of guy you want in your locker room. So baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in all the action than at FanDuel. Because you know what? They're America's #1 sports book. Because right now, if you're a new customer, you need to become one, you're going to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So if you're a Dodger fan, there's a good chance Dodgers are going to win the game, but there's a good chance, because Dave Roberts is managing, you're going to lose your bet. So you're still going to win. So head on over to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to join today. That way you won't miss your chance to snag a no sweat. First bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, the unofficial sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Hey, you everydayers, I need to make sure you check out tomorrow's episode. And if you're not an everydayer, you need to become one and check out tomorrow's episode of Locked On USC because recruiting's going to have another announcement. Yeah, you're going to need to be around all week long because USC's 2024 recruiting class, it keeps bouncing back and forth. In fact, it's this last few days, handful of days, it's been a yo-yo. USC's football recruiting has been kicking butt, taking names during the month of June. I said it on our last episode. Before June started, Trojan fans were they were getting a little antsy. Other programs were getting commitments, and they were seeing programs that USC should not see in front of them, being in front of them for that mythical recruiting national championship. But then, before the whining could get all full-throated, Lincoln Riley and his staff, they had USC's class ranked as high as number 6. Yeah. Last week, USC's recruiting class nationally had the number 6 next to it, according to the On3 recruiting database. They use a cumulative score of, theirs, rivals, 247, and they have this algorithm. They throw it in the computer, and it spits out USC as number 6. Well, they dropped to number 7 heading into the weekend. Again, recruiting's fluid. Other teams are going to add commitments as well. Keep that in mind. I know it's hard to remember. But with the addition of Ryan Pellum on Monday, USC bounced right back up to number 6. And they did that. They only have 13 commitments in this class. They blew right by the number 7 team, who dropped to number 7, Notre Dame. They have 21 commitments. So that class is almost full. USC only has 13, and they've already risen to number 6. Now, unless the Michigan Wolverines hear their name called before, I'm going to just lay it out there. Marquis Gallegos commits to USC on Tuesday. The Trojans are going to have the number 5 class by the end of Tuesday, business day. USC will have 14 commitments. They will have passed Michigan's number 5 ranked class with 23 commitments. That class has room for 2 more. USC only has 14 now. All of a sudden, USC is now laser focused on the number 4 ranked team in the country, recruiting class. And that name is Alabama, the Crimson Tide. Again, I'm going to I'm not going to break my arm patting myself on the back, but I am going to, put it out there, pop out that chest, that I've been attesting that for a while, USC was going to have a top 5 recruiting class before the month of June ended. Well, we're already there. No need to ask. So I guess now, is it possible? Can the Trojans get back to that rarefied air, that elite status where they belong, and actually, can they contend for that number 1 recruiting class? Probably not. I have a feeling Georgia is going to. Remember, they're the back-to-back reigning national champions. They are the it program right now. USC used to be the it program when Pete Carroll was running the ship. Lincoln Riley is doing his very best to see if he can get history to repeat itself. He's trending in the right direction. But then again, USC fans were warned by the current commits to anticipate a huge week this week. So Alabama, they sit at number 4. They only have 8 commitments in their class. You know they're going to finish their class off strong. Their cumulative class score is 91.913. USC, they're at number 6 right now with 13 commitments. Their class score is at 91.56. Okay. Number 3 is Florida. Number 2 is Ohio State. Georgia sits at number 1. Look, everybody, you know how I truly feel about the recruiting rankings. They're very, very, very subjective. Don't count the stars. Use the programs that are offering these recruits as the gauge to follow. That's the best way to go about this. That's where you'll find the correlation of stars and to success. But again, that's a different topic for a different show. But it's crazy to think that in 2021 wasn't that long ago that USC football was in a really, really, really bad place. You know, if I ever use the word 3 times in the sentence, that's for emphasis. The fans, they had already revolted. The players were actually revolting in the locker room, trying to, decide if they were going to even play the final game of the season. And no one knew that Lincoln Riley was on the horizon in 2021. No one. 2 years later, USC already has a Heisman under their number 8, Caleb Williams. And he's considered the leader to repeat in 2023. USC is also considered a favorite to make the playoffs in 2023. And this is before they move to the big conference in 2024. Wow. So, again, USC recruiting, it has all this momentum right now. And they're, again, if we want to coin a phrase from Pete Carroll, we're just getting started. This week, USC they are literally touching the number 5 recruiting class. They're going to pass that as soon as, anticipating Marquis Gallegos calls out USC's name Tuesday. Remember, he didn't make the trip up to Eugene, Oregon. That's who many considered USC's biggest competition. Didn't happen. So, USC with 14 commitments will have the number 5 class. You know, I just mentioned, I want to emphasize this again so everybody understands how far USC has come in less than 2 years. They've won a Heisman Trophy. They almost made the playoffs in year 1. Recruiting is off the charts in year 2. They're considered a favorite to make the playoffs. And they're moving to the big conference in 2024. I think it cannot be said enough. Thank you, Mike Bone. Thank you, Brandon Sosna. Thank you, President Carol Folt, for saving the Trojans football program. I think it was last Thursday's episode of Locked On USC, I asked the question, who's going to have a bigger freshman impact? I narrowed it down to 2 players, Zachariah Branch or Deuce Robinson. Made the case for both. In the end, I believe Zachariah Branch, just based statistically, will have a bigger impact on the team offensively, because he's going to get some touches on special teams, kick return, punt return. So I think that's where it gives him the edge over Deuce Robinson, just a small edge. Now, those are 2 guys on offense who should anticipate seeing the field a lot in 2023. Zachariah was he was practicing with the team during spring camp. 6'6", 225-pound Deuce Robinson he was working out for Major League Baseball teams. So again, that's why you got to give the edge a little bit to Zach. He's gonna be a little bit further ahead, knowing the offense just from that regard. But what about on defense? If I gave you two freshman players on the defensive side of the ball, who would you say is going to have the bigger impact? So, in this grudge match, standing in the Cardinal corner, weighing in at a reported 225 pounds, standing 6'2.5", linebacker Tackett Curtis. Okay, look, his name has been mentioned a lot since he arrived. He's already making USC fans say Brian Cushing under their breath. That's kind of the description you get with Tackett Curtis. In the gold corner, weighing in at 270 pounds and standing just below 6'1", defensive lineman rush end Sam Green. Now, I was tempted to go with Braylon Shelby, the rush end prospect out of Texas, and I could have gone with Zion Branch, but Braylon, he wasn't with the team during the spring, and Zion, he's a redshirt freshman, and he'll be 100% by fall camp. But again, redshirt freshman. I'm going with true freshman for this question. For this question, for the audience, I want your feedback. You know where to find me. Hit the comments section on YouTube. Hit it up on Twitter. You see it right there, at Mark Culkin. Start the discussion. Get it going. Look, Tackett Curtis, he is a heat-seeking missile. A weight room junkie, and he's the son of a high school coach. He's from Manning, Louisiana. You want a guy at linebacker, middle linebacker, who has violent intentions. He plays the game like Brian Cushing. So that's where the connection is. And he showed a lot of flash during the spring. His teammates, coaches couldn't stop talking about him. But we saw in the spring game, some freshman tendencies, stuff that, his position coach, Brian Odom, will get worked out by the time fall camp is over and he's inside. He's playing in the games. It's a process. Give him a chance. You can see what USC got. And there's a reason why he was considered the number one inside linebacker prospect in the country and why USC went after nobody else. That's who they set their target on. They got him. Sam Green, when he arrived at USC, he was a defensive lineman. He was projected to work with Sean Nua. Well, spring is all about, experimentation, seeing what players can do at different positions. He hung out with Roy Manning in the rush edge group. And now, at least what we saw in the spring, he's pushing for a spot in the 2 deep at rush end. And that's, if you saw what he did in the spring game, you understand why. Here's what Sam will recognize. Once he recognizes how good he can be, he's going to find that Mamba mentality. As one person told me, Sam Green is so good. He can roll out of bed 10 minutes before practice is scheduled to start, and he just kills it. He just beats the competition. Imagine how good he's going to be when he sets his alarm, 30, 45 minutes, an hour earlier than practice is set to start. I'm going to go with Sam. Not because I don't think Tackett Curtis is going to have an impact. He's going to play a lot, and he's going to make an impact and leave an imprint on a lot of offensive players, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks. Because when he hits you, you're going to feel it. But the reason I'm going with Sam, not because I like him more than Tackett, only because I think Tackett's going to have more competition in front of him at a position that doesn't rotate as much. And the rush end and the D line, those positions, you're going to see those guys rotate in and out more frequently than you're going to see that happen at the linebacker position. So based on that, just on that alone, I think Sam has a better opportunity to make an impact this year on defense. If you disagree, let me know. Tell me why. There's no wrong answer here. But, if you're going to have an opinion, support it. Make a good argument. That's all I ask. Don't just say, because I said so. Because I said so is what your mom and dad used to tell you when you asked, can I go outside? And they said no, and you said, why? And they said, because I said so. Because is not an answer. It's a clause. So, there you go. It's another episode of Locked On USC in the books. Make sure you come back, because tomorrow's episode, we're going to be talking about another USC commitment. His name, he plays defense. And it could be the beginning of a landslide of defensive players committing to USC. So, you need to be back here. Check it out. So until that next episode of Locked On USC, don't forget, head on over to WeRC.com. There's a lot of good stuff. Scott Schrader, Eric McKinney, Marshall Levinson. Chris Arledge has an awesome interview with the Polamalu family, Kennedy, as well as Troy, as well as Isaiah Polamau. You need to go watch that interview on YouTube. Musings with Chris Arledge. But you always are going to make Locked On USC your first listen every single day, Monday through Friday. So until then, thank you, everyday listeners. You know what to do.
You are Locked On Trojans,